And good Wednesday morning, everybody. Welcome back to the Weather Nerds YouTube channel. I'm your host, meteorologist Greg Majeski, here on your December the 10th, 2025, your no-nonsense weather guy, where our motto here is very simple. Ignore the hype. We give you the facts. We keep you prepared. Stay safe. That's what we like to do here. Be prepared, not scared. That's the whole thing here. And if you like this approach to weather, if you get tired of all the hyperactivity and over-the-top presentations out there, please consider subscribing to the channel. It'll be an honor and pleasure to have you on board here. All right, let's go ahead and talk about our weather, shall we? We're going to get into a couple things. You know, we're only 2 weeks away from Christmas, and although that's still 14 days out, we can at least start taking an idea, see what Christmas is going to be. Thus, the thumbnail for today, the theme for today is what's Christmas going to look like? We're going to have a warm, cozy Christmas, or is it going to be like frosty cold, or what are we looking at? So we're going to get into all of that here on this update. Now, let's look at our stuff from yesterday, as we had not quite as cold as it was the day before, but I think we're going to see that begin to change a little bit here coming up here. We had -5 up there in North Dakota, up there in Albacopo, I think, Alcabo, that's it. And we had 88 there in Southern California and Escondido, California, down there in Southern California. So those are our extremes yesterday across the country. You can kind of get an idea of what's going on. You see a low pressure here. Got this moving on. We've got some rains out here in the middle of the country. And brief warm up here out ahead of this next front. We got a nice little cold shot coming down here. This is one of two. And then we're going to begin to see some changes next week. We're going to show you some changes in the jet stream pattern here. Here is the morning weather map here for this morning. Starting up here in the Northeast, we're getting some snows around the Great Lakes up in this area. Again, we got some rainy weather. We've got a brief warm up out ahead of this front coming on in. We still got some below zero temperatures up here along the Canadian border here, and it's going to get even colder as a little piece of the polar vortex comes on down. We'll have a nice little chunk there of the high plains, Midwest, going to be dealing with some below zero temperatures, especially going into this upcoming weekend. And we're continuing to stay quiet here, folks, across the Southwest, South Central. Again, our main jet stream flow is doing just like this. So where we got ridging out off the Pacific, we're not getting anything out on the West Coast right now. This time of year they're supposed to be getting some rainy weather, but just you guys out there in California, hold on. There's going to be some changes coming here soon, so hopefully y'all get back into getting some rain back out there. But for the meantime, it's going to continue to stay on the dry side. Here's where our current watches and warnings are. Obviously, we got winter weather stuff all the way up in here. And, oh, look at that. We got a little bit of blizzard warnings up there into the portions of the Smokies or the Appalachians there. A little bit of that because of the windy conditions there. We got wind advisories here in Tennessee and North Carolina, out here in the plains, and some more winter weather stuff out here. Seeing some flash flooding out here. See that green there across Washington State, Idaho, and Montana as well. So, again, you kind of see where that storm flow is. That's definitely taking place there. You've got some fog in my backyard down here in South Georgia. All right, speaking of some of that rain, we got some of that rain there showing up there into areas around Cincinnati. Wet commute there this morning. Looking at a wet sky out there. Looking at Warren County there. Yeah, kind of cloudy, kind of damp out there across southern Indiana right now for this morning. Looking a little damp out there. And that'll be moving off. Things will be turning colder for Indiana here, as they do have some snows in the forecast, I think, coming y'all's way here in the days ahead. I'm going to show you that here in just a second. All right, as far as thunderstorms are concerned, next 3 days, we don't have much to show you. Wednesday, nothing. Thursday, nothing. Friday, maybe some thunderstorms down along the Texas Gulf Coast. That's what you're seeing right there. But other than that, thunderstorms, not a problem. All right, let's go ahead and get into our model data here. We're first going to be looking at as always, our intermediate model here first. We'll be looking at how things are progressing as we watch that one storm system come out of the east and another one dropping in behind it as the parade of these Alberta Clipper type systems continue to drop on down here, as this weather pattern is going to hold at least for, say, another 5-6 days before we see a change. Let me slow this down here a little bit here. Again, some pretty good snows there across the Great Lakes, going to Pennsylvania, New York. Definitely seeing wet conditions there and snowy conditions there. I mean, pretty decent snows up with this thing. Moving on through, here's our system number 2. Got another one coming out here on the West Coast, so we got several of them coming on in here. Let's go take this forward here a little bit as this moves on out. So watch that timestamp there. So by Wednesday night, going to Thursday morning, this is clearing on out. So this is basically during the day. All right, so this moves on out. Then we're going to watch for our next one to drop on down. Here comes our next one coming across Minnesota, Iowa. Once again, more snows into Illinois. There goes Indiana. There goes that snows for tomorrow for Indiana. So those areas I just showed you there that were actually, it was Ohio actually, that were looking at rain. They're going to get some snows coming back across there. not a ton of it, but a little bit. This comes on down. And then here comes the real cold stuff up here to the north. This stuff up here, this is our really cold little Arctic front that's coming on down here. A little glancing blow with this. And once this thing moves on out, we're going to see some abrupt changes in the overall weather pattern. Is going to change a bit, okay? All right, so let's look at your snow coverage. This, again, going out for 60 hours. You can see where that snow track's going to be. And, again, some higher snows out in the west. When I start seeing green, that's getting into the feet of snow there across portions of Montana and areas up there into Canada. But some pretty decent snows there across areas of New England there. I mean, it's quite a bit. Let me go, let that go all the way to the end here. And I'll let this go all the way out. I'm going to stop it right there. So, again, let's look at the northeast here. Again, this is going into Friday afternoon. Some healthy snows up through the Smokies, Appalachians. Again, they're looking at blizzard conditions up here, possibly here across West Virginia, the higher elevations. We're looking at snows here across New York State, into Vermont, New Hampshire, and into Maine. So, again, that snowy weather pattern continues here at least for another few more days before we see some changes. All right, let's go take a look at the temperatures. Again, this is going out here for the next 60 hours. Yeah, there's that purple. There's that real cold stuff, all right? But once this one goes by, I think we get to see some changes. We're really going to be seeing changes across the southern tier. It's been running above normal out west here for a while now, and that looks like that's going to continue, but I think more of the country is going to get on the act. So, again, still cold pattern right through Saturday. This dam goes all the way out to Saturday here. As you can see that cold weather pattern, still looking at cool temperatures there. Only milder down toward Texas and down toward Florida, but really not looking too bad there. All right, let's talk about this weather pattern change, okay? This is the European. This is the 500 millibar height anomaly map. All right, so you can see where we are right now. This is kind of looking at here today. You get ridge out in the west, big dip here in the west. We continue these cold weather shots that keep coming down. There's weather patterns coming this way. So it looks like we're going to see one more going into this weekend. We got another dump. Here it goes right through there. Ridge still holding on going into this weekend. So going into Saturday, still holding on with this ridge, still holding on with this cold weather pattern, still looking at the cold shots coming down in here. And then we're going to start seeing things begin to change next week. We still got another shot coming down here toward the middle of the week. Looks like another little cool shot there. There's right there going to Thursday. This might bring some welcome rains across the areas of the south that have been a little bit dry there. But as that lifts on out, look what happens as we go towards Sunday, the week of Christmas. Fairly flat flow. In fact, we're going to see some ridging start to build back in here across the southeast. Compliments of La Nina. Thank you very much. As it sits on in here. So it looks like we see, it doesn't look overly cold across the country. Do not see a lot of purple up here. Cooler here in the west. Definitely milder here in the east. But I would say it looks like Heat Miser is going to win this battle out. At least it's looking right now. Again, this is a 2-week model out. It is subject to change. We're just kind of looking at how it's tracking. So as we're going from this day, as we get closer, let's see what the trend. And right now, the trend, even on some of the longer range models, have been warming things up. Typically, when we get a cold pattern like we've been locked in here across the eastern 2/3, 2 to 3 weeks, and then we start to see the changes. And I still think we're going to have a relatively mild Christmas for a lot of the country. All right, here's your rain totals here across the area here for the next 10 days. You kind of see very wet, rainy here across Washington State down to Northern California. Finally gets California starts to get on this as the 10-day we start getting some rains. The track starts to shift further south. So Northern California hasn't seen a whole lot of rain either, but it's working the way down. It's kind of subtle hits of the change coming. There's that system toward the middle of next week, bringing some pretty good rains here, even getting into the south a little bit. Still dry here out in the west. It just cannot seem to get this. So a big donut hole right there for the next 10 days. Still no rain to be seen there. All right, so let's look at your snow totals again. Still looking predominantly northwest, still looking through the northeast. This hasn't changed. This is going to change a lot, folks. In fact, as we warm up as anticipated, that snow coverage map is going to start shrinking and going north. Although Canada should still hold on to a pretty good snowpack. The snowpack is going to start retreating. I think we got as high as 45, 47% of the country covered in snow. I think that's going to begin to retreat. Again, this takes us out to the 19th of December. All right, so let's talk about the temperatures here. We got the cold shots coming on down here. There's that cold shot. I want to really slow that down a little bit. I want to back that up here a little bit. Again, this is going into Sunday morning. Look at this, minus 22, minus 19, minus 12, getting minus 5 into Indiana. So very cold, very frigid air coming down here on Sunday. This is the core of that cold air. Sunday morning looking very, very cold. And I mean, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, we're still looking at below zero temperatures. So very, very cold here on Sunday. All right, this will move off to the east here a little bit as we go into Your Monday morning, not nearly as bad, but a lot of single digits and teens. We got freezing going all the way down to the Gulf Coast. Low 20s here across North Georgia. Very cold there on Monday morning. And then we're going to see things begin to slowly warm up going into Tuesday. And look how much of the blue starts to move on out of the country here, folks. Look at that. 60s showing up back here across the south going into the middle of next week. And look at that. Thursday afternoon, we're seeing a lot of 60s here, 70s and 80s showing back up. Still got some cold air up here, but we're noticing significant change going into next week as we're going to see things begin to get to modify here. Well, there's that one cold shot. Remember, we got that one cold shot coming down on Thursday. See a little bit of that purple still showing up. There's a little bit of below zero there, but this one's not going to be nearly as pushed, not as big as the one we're going to see this upcoming weekend. All right, so we might get a brief cool down going into Friday, but then the trend is upward. So let me go ahead and show you this, and we'll show you the trend out here right now. This is the European. This is going for Christmas week. This is the 20th to the 27th. Looking at your temperature anomalies here. So the only places we're seeing some a little bit below normal temperatures up here in the Northeast. Looks like fairly normal across the Great Lakes, but a lot of the country is seeing temperatures that are going to be on the warm side. So as my thumbnail showed you, Heat Miser looks like he's going to win the battle on this one going into for Christmas, the way it's looking currently. Still subject to change, but I would say the overall trend and just looking at the normal climatology, when you look at cold weather patterns, we probably will see warmer weather. Now, what we got to watch for is that we get one of those anomalies, that one quick shot or some little breakdown to change that. But for right now, this is what it looks like as of December the 10th, okay? All right, so let's look at your climate outlook. You know what it's going to show, all right? So you know what it's going to be showing here, and I always forget to reset this one, so my apologies. Again, this is what we've been dealing with. This looks good. You got warm weather out, or warmer above normal out in the west. We got cold here in the east, and then we're going to start. We're really going to trip that stuff away. Look how much of the country is going to be red, and I think this will turn redder still going close. This goes out to the 23rd, so I think it goes even warmer still. The other part of the story continues to be this dry weather. We're just not getting really good. The storm track's not been, we haven't been really kind of tracked any Gulf moisture. It's been active out here on the West Coast. That's going to continue to hold. Again, this goes from the 15th to the 19th, and again, going out from the 17th to the 23rd. Still looking at dry weather pattern there for across big portion of the country, except for the Northwest. They continue to get blasted up there as well. So again, I appreciate you guys checking us out here for today. We got there this morning. I can't read that. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me look over here. Let me get a little closer. Oh, Julia Taylor. I'm sorry. I couldn't quite read the name there. Julia, good to see you out there this morning. I appreciate you guys checking us out there. And again, we're getting close to almost up. I think we're almost to 50. Like once we get to 100, we'll do another ad buy, and we'll continue to try to grow our little channel a little at a time. That's the best we can do. I'm looking forward to, if I ever get my local channel up with the real weather equipment and stuff, that'll change the overall look of this product. This will look a little bit better in the future, but we're just doing it one day at a time, right? Okay, that's y'all's update again. That's your Christmas outlook. I know for you folks who like the cold, like the snow, like to say, I want to see a white Christmas. It ain't looking too good right now, so we'll see if it changes as we get a little bit closer to it. All right, I appreciate you guys checking us out. Y'all be good, stay safe, and we'll see you tomorrow. You guys have a good day. Bye-bye.